Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm your host, Jim Cockrum, and I have a guest who I'll be bringing on in just a few moments. His name is Sam. He's one of the newer members of our community. He hasn't been around very long. He's one of the newer proven Amazon course students who's got big dreams, big aspirations. He's started the process, but he's so new that he has some pretty interesting questions today that we dive into. Even philosophical questions, if you will, about the opportunity and about what the future holds for the opportunity, where he should be focused, what it's going to look like as his business grows. Now that we've coached over 7,000 people, with far more than that, having gone through our courses at provenamazoncourse.com, we've noticed a lot of patterns. We've got some wisdom to provide to those who are new in their Amazon e-commerce journeys. And Sam certainly asked some very interesting and useful questions today that I think not only benefited him, but I think it's going to benefit you, regardless of what stage you're at. We definitely dove into some topics that will be of interest and use to those of you who've been selling for a while in e-commerce. I hope that this episode serves you well as we dive into just a good number of random topics on things such as, what is the future of e-commerce? Where is the Amazon replens business going? What category should I focus on? Where can I find profitable products? At what point should I scale my business? What tools should I be using at different stages of growth? So we spent a lot of time on some very interesting topics, as well as just some general life advice. He's a younger man, and I gave him some very specific thoughts and ideas for where he's kind of heading, and some insights from a guy on the other side of 50 that I hope he finds very useful, and maybe you find some use in those as well. But it was just a great conversation with a genuine member of our community who raised his hand when we said, hey, does anybody have some time for a coaching call? Maybe you're struggling. Maybe you're new to the Proven Amazon course and you want to begin learning, but you're just not real confident or things aren't going the way you'd hoped. And let's have some coaching calls. He is one of a handful of people that raised his hand when we asked that question. So we didn't know much about him at all really coming into it, but he had some great positive things to say. He asked some great questions today, and I think it's going to serve you very well. So let's jump in and meet Mr. Sam Petrini. And he's got some great information to share with you as well, some tips and strategies from just life experiences. The guy's been through some challenges, so I think you're going to really enjoy today's episode. So Sam, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Jim. I've listened to this for quite some time. Never thought I'd get the chance to sit down and talk with the illustrious and the glorious Jim Cockrum.
He'll get over it. He will get over it. And I detected enough sarcasm in it that I can appreciate and enjoy what you said. The true fanboys make me nervous, man. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, no, dude. I respect what you do. I respect what you've built with this whole community, and it's just this incredible wealth of knowledge, the likes of which I haven't really seen in any other industry. So it's awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. I just relish the chance to be able to contribute something back.
Try to bring something about all that. It's I've surrounded myself with people who are smarter than I am. That's my secret.
Nice.
We serve well. We serve from the heart. So you do that for 20 years, and you end up with a pretty special community that I'm honored to be just a part of, let alone have a bit of a leadership role. So thank you for that, Sam. I appreciate it. But you're one of the guys.
A bit of a leadership role. That's fine. All right. Yeah. So I hold
myself accountable to a high standard, and the whole team does. But that's a story for another day. But
sure.
You raised your hand virtually when we said, hey, we want to talk to some people who are kind of newer, struggling. Maybe you're in a season where it's not quite clicking and you want to get some help. Let's do some live coaching calls. And I talked about this a little bit in the introduction as well, but just to kind of reset the table, here's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Let's get into your story, man. Let's hear where you're at, how you got here.
Yeah. So the reason I reached out in the first place is because I think I do have a pretty, let's call it a unique story. And, if the listeners or the audience can, derive some bit of value out of this, something that just maybe makes something click here, or just a little bit of inspiration here or there, then that's a job well done as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
And so basically it all started. I was fresh out of college. I had just graduated in May and was living back home with my parents for a little while over in Connecticut, right? And kind of in that stage where you're kind of wandering around, you're looking for a direction to go in, and of course, my dad knew that I had this entrepreneurial spirit, right? Definitely into the whole business side of things, and so he showed me. He goes, hey, there's this weird new thing out called Amazon FBA. Maybe you could get good at this. And I was, what are you talking about? FBA? What does that mean? Is that a chemical or something? No. And so I start to look at some of these different sites and some testimonials and just getting my bearings on what this business model is gonna look like. And I go, oh, this is pretty awesome. Oh my God. Okay. And so the story of my first ever big purchase is a lot to be learned, because I read somewhere that health and beauty products were one of the really good ways to go in terms of establishing a good Amazon FBA business. And so I go, okay, cool. Health, beauty, right on. And I go and I spend maybe $3,500 on one of these Walgreens overstocks, shelf pulls, all this. It's about 3,000 items with a pretty big retail value. And I go, oh my God, this is it. I'm gonna be rich. Okay, I'm gonna flip this, and it's gonna be fantastic. And what I didn't realize was that 3,000 items is 3,000 items, right?
Yes.
And these aren't small things either necessarily. Big shampoo bottles, toothpaste, and Colgate toothbrushes, and all that. And so again, I'm still living at home with the family, mom, dad, a sister who's also in college at the time, coming back every now and then. What arrives is this massive pallet full of boxes. And my dad goes, you better be serious about this. I'm sorry, Dad. Wow. So it was, there was so much stuff going on around the house. So many boxes just strewn about, filled with, oh my God. And one of the boxes had this exploded thing of lotion in it, and ruined just destroyed all the products in that box. So I'm going to retroactively go back and apologize to my family. I'm sorry. It wasn't the best first purchase. I was still green, still getting my bearings. Yes. Yeah. But anyways, long story short, that I was able to get some decent sales off that. I was also introduced the hard way to the idea of gated products. Okay, guess what? Can't sell this Oral-B toothbrush on Amazon, and so that presented a whole other slew of challenges. But that was in October that I first got the whole pallet, and by the end of December, my family was like, "Listen, if you can't get rid of this, just give it to charity." So Salvation Army got a real nice donation. Whatever I had left that I couldn't manage to sell on Amazon.
Rough first lesson. And you also dodged the bullet there too on the IP issues and things. Just buying pallets and trying to flip them on Amazon, not advised. Even if you're quite experienced and understand the landscape, it's quite a minefield because again, there's no detailed receipt that you can show that shows proof of custody, where you bought it from, that it was a legitimate source, etc. Right? So if Amazon asks for that, you got nothing.
Oh yeah. No, I was just telling them when they gave me some pushback, I go, listen, guys, I can show you the invoice. I just spent $3,500 on all this. Believe me, I have enough to sell. And they were like, okay, fine. We'll get you ungated in the health and beauty and the household sections.
Right.
And but for little dumb little 22-year-old Sam, not the best first move, but a valuable lesson.
You learned some things. Yeah.
I definitely learned some things. And I also learned that I needed some guidance. Right. And so that's when I turned to, a coaching program. And as part of that, I got a subscription to the Proven Amazon course, which, okay, here's a light bulb, ding ding ding, and so that definitely gave me some more solid direction to go in over the ensuing year or so, because it was about, I would say I spent a good year growing that business. So all of 2015. And then by 2016, I just decided to pack up my bags and move to San Diego. I literally drove across the entire country. Best trip that I'll never make again. But I had a dream out here. I had this idea of I wasn't quite ready to have a full-time income based off of my FBA business alone, but it was growing. It was inevitably growing. Thanks to a lot of the advice that I learned from the Proven Amazon course and several other different courses, and the gurus and authorities in the field that I listened to. But I wasn't quite ready yet to be full time with the Amazon. And so the plan was to come to California and establish my life in San Diego, get, some sort of other full-time job, and then kind of grow this on the side to the point where I could just, make that jump over and have it be a, pretty solid move. However, there was one pretty big, obstacle to all of that. And that was when I shattered my leg back in August of 2016. So about 6 months after I moved to San Diego, and it was kind of like trying to, get this plan into fruition. Just to spare you the gory details, it started out with a homemade half pipe in our backyard for like toy skating.
No. Skater accident.
It ended up with emergency surgery on my tibia and fibula, and there's still a titanium rod in there to this day.
Man, I'm sorry. So that's awful.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. It frankly led me to my own personal hell for quite some time, and also realizing that this is devastating, because San Diego prices alone, I can't just keep living off of this FBA business, which I developed a pretty decent system at the time, but there just wasn't enough capital kind of flowing through it, and I still needed a job. Yeah, and you can't quite get a job when you're in a wheelchair and you're on some pain pills for at least 8 to 10 hours a day.
Oh my goodness, dude, that's brutal. I'm sorry you went through
you're
that.
Telling me. And so that's what inevitably led to I still had to pay rent and do all this. So I was just using funds from this Amazon business, and that just drained it. Just went exploded on me, and it wasn't great. And I was just in the worst shape physically and mentally of my entire life. And frankly, that's when I turned to the Stoic philosophy. Right, found out about this awesome book called "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday.
Right.
And it was the exact thing that I needed at that point to kind of help with my mental game, with my mindset, because one of the big quotes is the impotence to action, or the impediment to action, becomes the action. The obstacle becomes the way.
Yeah.
And so I'm facing the biggest obstacle that I ever faced in my life. And I go, okay, I need to make this the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was definitely very, very difficult. But I was, kind of dedicating my time to educating myself more about Amazon and all that FBA stuff. But I was just so deeply embarrassed by this perceived failure that I just had to step away from it for a minute and kind of like gather and collect myself. Mm-hmm. And I say perceived failure because I've come to acknowledge and believe that it's never truly a failure until you decide to just give it up.
Yeah, you start blaming other people and you give up.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let this be that kind of failure for myself.
Yeah.
The way I see it is this is just a temporary setback.
Right.
And even though it's, the setback has lasted a few years, it's still a setback.
Good for you.
Now, that leads me to one of my first and I think most important questions for you is, what are your thoughts on the intangibles? Like the mindset going into creating your own FBA business. For those who are getting started with it, or for someone like me who's been out of the game for a long time, getting back into it. What do you think are the most important aspects of your mental game?
Well, I'll dive into that from a generic perspective. I
Sure.
love the question. It's a nice big platform for me to play on, and I'm tempted to just dive right into how I would respond to that. But
by all means,
I'd like to know first kind of where you're at in your business, make it a little more specific to you, possibly as I answer what could otherwise be a very general question. Does that make sense? So where are you at now with your business and with your income and with your situation? Just to help paint a little more of a picture for me, if you don't mind.
Right. Okay. So as of right now, I'm working at a nice corporate job, thanks to a very dear friend of mine. She really hooked me up with this, and going around, selling, and it's a lot of fun, selling mattresses, and so I decided that, what, time to dig up some courage and really just get back into this game. I've been afraid to do this for a long time, but you know what? Screw it. Let's take some action here. And turns out California has a lot of red tape when it comes to establishing your own business, even if it is something like a sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Throughout the entire month of August, I was just, working to get that done, and, doing all these different steps, including the weird archaic tradition of having your fictitious business name or DBA blasted out in a local paper. That's like an actual part of this process. And I'm like, who are we reaching with this? They're like, no, we just need to let the people know that they can't have this business name. I go, who's going to know about this? Who's reading this paper right now?
Who even reads
you heard of this thing called the internet?
That's crazy, but it's one of the boxes you have to check is to put it in the newspaper.
It is. It really is. It's just something that's got to get done, and it's all just this process of, right. And now I'm trying to, now that I've gotten all that done, gotten my business tax stuff and yada yada yada. Now I'm just reaching out to as many wholesale suppliers as I can, just to get an account open with them and really get this going. So I'm like right at the precipice, which is great, because this is the perfect time to talk with someone like you. And
okay,
so I'm right there about to get started, and obviously the game has changed a lot since 2017 when I decided to hang up the gloves for a little bit. Yeah. And so that's especially right now when we're facing this recession and maybe not so great economic times for people. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of question about the mindset that I'm posing to you right now. So right now, someone who's getting started.
Okay, have you sold anything at all in the past, say, 30, 60 days? Are you truly that new that you haven't done anything since 2017 and you're still in the initial stages, correct?
I'm in the stage right now. I just got the business license and all that. I'm reactivating my Amazon account, so I haven't even gotten the chance to sell anything yet.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, that helps paint a pretty clear picture for me. You're going to want to get into replens. Are you convinced on that, or do we need to spend some time on that?
Oh no, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. Is that I've seen you on your soapbox yelling out replens, wholesale replens, and I need to know more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you've listened to some other podcast episodes, I would encourage if there's other listeners who haven't heard other episodes besides this one. This one's a little unique. We're talking to a new student. Typically, our episodes are success stories, students who've kind of been through the stage that Sam's in, and they've built something, and we learned from them. We said, hey, let's do some episodes with some brand new students, kind of do some coaching calls. So that's what this is. So let me just emphasize for them, why do we talk so much about replens? I look at Amazon opportunities and I kind of stack them and layer them in the order they should be pursued. And on the bottom layer, after you've scanned a few barcodes, maybe you've made some of the mistakes like, to be honest with you, Sam, your mistake was pretty minor compared to a lot of them that I've heard. I mean, you have people go tens of thousands of dollars in, filling their garage with this product after buying an $8,000 course that told them this was the way to go and all the expensive monthly software. And then they come to us and say, typically tearfully, oh, I wish I'd have found you guys a year and a half ago. I've filled that's all I've done the past year is fill my garage with stuff I can't sell. We hear that multiple times per week because you get on YouTube. That's what everybody's talking about typically. How do I start an Amazon business? They're going to talk you into launching your own brand. So congratulations on dodging that bullet.
Yeah.
But you did go out and buy a big bunch of returns. And I'm curious, did you end up making any money on that, break even? In the final analysis, where'd you come down on that?
So I'm pretty sure I did end up breaking even. Okay. Although here's another stupid thing that I did. Looking back on it, I set every product to just like the minimum price that was being offered. And because I didn't know to like check the buy box and go within 2% of what they're offering there. So I probably shortchanged myself on about 50 to 60% of the products that I was selling.
Absolutely.
It was, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, it's selling so fast. What's going on here?
People, a lot of new sellers think that the low price is the one that's going to win the sale every time. No, the buy box rotates. Now you will win more sales being the lowest price, but that's where the low margin is. It's just not necessary. As long as you're moving a unit or two every 30 days or so, we consider that a winning product and you just go get a bunch of products. But we don't encourage anybody to go out and buy a big lot of returns. Do not do that model. Even the most experienced sellers out there struggle to even keep their nose above water with that model. It's virtually impossible on Amazon. That model works if you've got a retail location that you can lean back on and you've got some experience with retail and you can open a brick and mortar store. Maybe there's people in our community doing that and talking about it. It's not a low-hanging fruit opportunity. If you've noticed, these stores kind of pop up and close their doors like constantly everywhere, all over the place. Like, oh, I can go buy a bunch of returns and open up a retail store and sell it all. And like, no, you can't. It's a hard model. So if you start talking about the models that do work, with my 20 years of experience, having coached 7,000 students, tens of thousands of people going through our courses, what works? Okay, we'll start you out with replens, not necessarily wholesale replens, just replens in general. Now, wholesale is beautiful and we can tack that on pretty fast. But a lot of times when people think, oh, wholesale, that means I'm going to get my stuff cheaper, right? Well, maybe not. Wholesale is just another source, kind of like RA, retail is a source, retail arbitrage. OA, online shopping, is a source. Wholesale, it's another source. They have their advantages and disadvantages, all three. The simplest would be retail, a store near you. Take a picture of a store shelf, come home, do some research, find the replens. What's a replen? For those who don't know, I'm not going to go real deep into it. I'm sure you know, Sam, by this point, but it's an underserved gap in Amazon's marketplace. We'll just leave it at that. We help you find those underserved gaps where you can profitably insert yourself with easily sourced products and make a good return. And they're everywhere. There's millions of these replens to be found. So that's the model we start you out at. That's where you need to focus your time, effort, and energy. I would say until you're selling about $20,000 a month, just in local, easily accessed, either online or retail replens, there's no need to really complicate it with anything else. Now, the wholesale angle, there's some great content inside the Proven Amazon course. It's not a matter of, and here's the big distinction on wholesaling when I talk on that topic, okay? It's not a matter of going out and finding wholesalers that have new products that aren't on Amazon yet. No, that's going down the private label drain. You don't want to go that route. You're trying to launch, here we are trying to launch a new product again. No, you're not doing that. You're putting it through the replens lens, meaning I'm finding products that are selling already on Amazon, but they're on underserved listings where there's already a good handful of other sellers. In many cases, like Rich Potter, let's take their business, for example. They created our Proven Wholesale Sourcing module for the Proven Amazon course. They've got a $5-7 million a year business doing just what I described with wholesalers. They find the ones who are already on Amazon selling to other sellers, but they're underserved. Maybe there's only 2 or 3 other sellers. That's perfect. Come in and be the 4th seller and make a case to that wholesaler while you belong right in there with the others, and make a stronger case probably than the other sellers because of the information you have in your head that can really benefit the relationship. and they've got it down to a science. So that's the wholesale, how that wholesale tacks onto replens. And then, of course, you can climb. I won't get into all the other models, but you kind of climb. It gets a little more profitable, a little riskier as far as time, effort, and energy required and how much work's required to actually turn a profit. But as your knowledge base improves, you can get all the way up, to kind of like to the top of the pyramid. For us is where you are consulting with businesses, helping them get onto Amazon. You're finding brands that need help. They've got a weak presence on Amazon. You come in and say, hey, I know Amazon for a percentage of all sales. I could really clean up your catalog and help you sell more. And you get paid a percent, and you've diversified your portfolio, so to speak, of your Amazon exposure, right? And that's a beautiful business model, becoming almost an agency of helping. So that's those in the, several steps in between. But the nice thing is, Sam, you've got the proven Amazon course, which means you have the training for every possible level you'll encounter. But don't put the cart before the horse. We're going to start you off with replens. And like I said, until you're selling about 20 grand a month and you've built a system. And the nice thing is, you've got a full-time job, you said. It's a job you like. You find it rewarding. This can be done in your spare time on the side.
Sure.
Right. And you probably knew that. It can be automated as you go as well, virtual assistants, right? So you can really start to build something out that doesn't require a lot of time, effort, energy, and work on your part. Eventually, it's going to be a fairly automated thing. But you talked earlier, your first question to me was, if you still want to go here with this, is mindset. And
I would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, traditionally around here, we don't do a whole lot with mindset. I find myself being drawn more and more in that direction. And I think if you've got a healthy life and a healthy schedule and a healthy routine, you're going to have the mindset required for building a great business. Stated differently, if you experienced this, you shattered your leg in a skateboarding accident, and I mean that took you to a dark place mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Like, that guy was not capable of building a good business. He just wasn't.
Oh,
right?
No, by no
There's
means.
no way, right? So it's not so much a matter of, hey, Jim's going to give me some tips for mindset. I'm going to do those things, and now I'm going to be, no, there's multiple areas of your life that need to kind of be lined out. You need to have yourself in healthy relationships, for example. You need to be paying some attention to your physical health. Spiritually, like, what's your morning routine, and what's your commitment to keeping yourself in a good state of mind? Like, one of the keys there would be gratitude. Are you someone who's negative, pessimistic? Are you a gratitude, optimism kind of person? You've got to learn that skill set, because negative people just can't build a business. Financially, are you in a desperate situation where, like, man, this better work or I'm sunk? Like, you're going to have a hard time. So all these areas kind of add up to, if you've got all these areas right, now you're positioned to kind of add on this bonus aspect to your life, which is, I'm going to grow a business. But you kind of need to have everything else healthy. So I can't tackle all of those, obviously. I mean, there's volumes of books written on every one of those subjects, right? But I think if you can identify, where can I kind of strengthen myself up? Is there an anchor I'm dragging? Do I have a habit or a hobby that's slowing me down? For example, am I gaming 5 hours every single night? Like, that's probably the area we could say, okay, that we could turn that habit that's not necessarily serving me financially or taking me in the direction I want to go in my life. Let's carve that way down over time, over the next few weeks, carve it down. And let's use that time for this. Maybe it's Netflix. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a diet thing. But just start to replace one with the other. And we're going to focus on the business. Wherever that area of weakness is, it's typically going to be a hobby or a habit that I would probably tackle. And there's no need for us to dive into that now. You can probably self-identify that and think it through. Like, we've all got these things, like, I'd probably better off giving that up. But then you replace, in a very disciplined way, in a methodical way, the negative with the thing that's taking your life towards what you want to be, the positive. And we could do a whole episode on it. There's books on this topic, and I'm not the author of any of them, but I've seen this pattern play out over and over again. You identify, and you begin to slowly chip away and replace that negative thing that's taking you in a bad direction, and you replace it with something that's taking you where you want to go. And I would propose building a business becomes that thing. And pretty soon you've replaced one with the other. And that to me is one of the healthiest ways to get yourself into the mindset and set the trajectory. So we're not just adding something new onto your life, another to-do thing. We're saying, I'm going to take something out, and as quickly as it's gone, kind of like pulling your finger out of a glass of water, as quickly as that hole is as quickly as my finger moves, the hole's filled in with something else. We're taking out the bad, filling it in right behind with the good. We're not creating a bunch of freeze time or empty space. We're intentional about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's great. And also something that you just brought up, I did want to touch on, because really thinking about kind of where things went wrong or what I could have done better. It's been a lot of reflection over these past few years, right? And I realized that I was prioritizing the wrong things at times. Like, I was prioritizing automation because I was enamored with this idea of, build a passive income stream, do this, do that. And being a little bit lazy and not wanting to like fully put in the work. Putting the cart before the horse, I didn't try to get the great, consistent sources and just a bulletproof system going on before I moved to the automation. And that I think is somewhere where people do get tripped up, because this beautiful glitz and glam of passive income. It can take a long time to get there. And I do know it's possible, but you got to work for it.
If we lacked the long-term perspective that we have on what we do around here, we all have successful businesses selling physical products on our team, but we also train. And if we lacked the moral fortitude that we have, it would be very easy for us to sell a whole lot more content, courses, and training if we promised automation right out of the gate. We'll almost do it for you, kind of thing. Like, no, that's not how it works. You're going to have to learn the system. It's going to be blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice. Anything worth having is going to take hard work. You need to know how this thing works before you start bringing in these automations, bringing in a virtual assistant, right? And it doesn't serve me well, seemingly, from a financial perspective, to say such things, because I could make a lot more money much more quickly, but I'd also destroy my reputation in doing that, because we wouldn't be creating success stories, because that's not how the world actually works. You've got to understand the model. This isn't an investment where you're like, hey, just put money over here and invest in business. We're not turning you into angel investors. We're showing you how to grow a business. That means you got to know the details, know how to recognize a good product from a bad product, sell it, put the tape on the box, understand the process, and then begin the process of slowly chipping away at automating and backfilling, if you will, those responsibilities into someone else's lap. But yeah, it's going to be all you. But the nice thing is, it's very flexible. You can do it a few hours a week.
Right.
You don't have to suddenly say, all right, I got to find 30 hours a week somewhere. No, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, hour or two here and there. You can build something pretty special, get proof of concept pretty quick. And you'll be amazed.
Arguably one of the best parts about this.
What's that?
Absolutely. I said arguably one of the best parts about this, that you can start part-time with just a few hours and learn and grow. And then eventually, reach that dream goal of like, okay, I'm doing this all the time and I have flexibility with my schedule.
Yes.
And I'm my own boss. That's what everyone wants to be. Right. And, again, to your point, all these automated things, and everyone loves the idea of free money. And believe me, I love the idea of free money. Don't get me wrong. However, there is something to be said about the feeling of accomplishment that comes with really, really working hard and overcoming all these challenges and knowing at the end of the day, like, wow, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
And it's not just the sense of achievement that's the bonus, that's the benefit there. That's not the biggest aha moment. I think the aha moment that's kind of the foundation of what you just said is that whole free money thing doesn't exist. It's a lot of people spend a lot of time chasing that shiny object and chasing the prettiest sales letter with the stacks of cash and the cool cars and man, that guy's so cool. And they just kind of go down that rabbit hole. In e-commerce, especially, this is true. Sometimes it takes people a very long time to realize, man, it's going to be actual work. I'm going to have to learn new things. I'm going to make some mistakes. It's going to take some time. This is building a business. It really takes effort. There's risk. If it was so easy that we could hand anybody 4 steps, hit these buttons, and it turns into money, well, then so many people would be doing it. The opportunity would be gone instantly. For some reason, a lot of people turn that common sense part of their brain off. If it's so easy, a monkey could do it. Well, people would have trained 10,000 monkeys to do it, and it wouldn't be there anymore. Right? That business does not exist. We are literally, if you think of a business, it is creating value, creating anything that's worthy of someone else's time, attention, and money means you've sacrificed and done things that they weren't willing to do. That's why they're paying you. They weren't willing or able to do it themselves. That's why they're using their money. So you're going to have to create that value. And that always means sacrifice, work, discipline, delayed gratification. These are the things that go into building the business. And a business teaches you those things by force.
Oh, yeah. You have no choice.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's why we say all the time, if all I know about somebody is they built a profitable business over an extended period of time, they've maintained a happy client base of people that love doing business with them. That's all I know about that person. I don't need to know anything else about them to know a lot of who I'm dealing with. Someone that you could rely on, trust, their opinions would carry weight, their experience, wisdom, discipline, patience, a servant's attitude. There's a lot of things that building a business develops inside of you. So if you come into it with the understanding of these are the things I got to bring into the game if I'm going to succeed, you've got a big advantage there. And that's valuable mindset material right there too.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. And now here's another question that I had for you. Because, when I first started this, obviously I had this dream, I had this vision. I wanted to have this home base in San Diego and, be essentially a digital nomad where I could just go and maybe go live in Spain for a couple of months out of the year. Because I learned Spanish to the point of like basically conversational fluency. And it's a big world. I want to go out and see some stuff. Yes. So my question to you is, as a young Jim Cockrum, what were your visions and goals when you first started doing this? Was there like a carrot dangling in front of you that you were really pursuing?
Yeah, I reverse engineered off of, I married my best friend and she was super smart and a career-driven woman who had been capable of earning way more money in a corporate setting than I ever would have been. She graduated top of her class. But as we started adding kids, when we had our first kid is when this all became very clear to me. He's now 24. That I wanted to give her the option of doing what she wanted with her time. Be it corporate, be at home, be a mom, homeschool, whatever. The whole spectrum was wide open to her. And I decided at that point, whatever it is that she wants to be the wife and the mom that she feels God's called her to be, I'm going to make sure I built something that she can do any of those things. Right. If it means me going out and doing X or me staying home and doing Y, or that's what started out motivating me. And that was a younger version of me, but that was my big why, because I knew we were going to have more kids and I wanted her to feel like I was helping her meet her dreams. That became my dream. And some people struggle with that. I didn't. It was very clear to me. I wanted to be that man that if my wife is happy, dude, I'm happy. Because she had big dreams and big visions. And our dreams started merging around, the kind of family that we wanted to have. We decided we wanted to homeschool. We wanted to adopt internationally. These things are not cheap. We wanted to travel with a big family, which we've done multiple times. We've been all over the world with 5 kids.
Wow.
It's a big deal to travel by yourself, but we've been all over the place with our kids in tow, and we travel freely. And I wanted to have the financial means to be able to do that. And through e-commerce, I saw the opportunity to be able to do those things, to have my business in my pocket and go anywhere in the world, and things just kind of continue because I've got a virtual team. I don't have to be anywhere at 8:00 in the morning tomorrow at a specific time. We tell people all the time that we don't wake up at a certain time ever in our house, except one day a week. Going to be at church on time, man. You got to set an alarm clock sometimes. Other than that, we just kind of roll with it. and we're very flexible. We have commitments, we have to be placed a certain time, but there's no like every day, this time, got to be here, got to do that. And we don't see it as a lack of discipline. We see it as getting, soaking the most out of every day and the opportunities that it presents. And sometimes that really wears you out and you sleep in till 10. And some days you're ready to rock at 6 a.m. because, you had a restful day the day before. So our schedule kind of flows with what life throws at us and the opportunities that come our way. And that was the vision, extreme flexibility and the financial means to maintain that flexibility and have that liberty of movement as, life through different circumstances. And, raising 5 kids, that's a lot of work. It's been a lot of work. So
I can only imagine,
a serious accomplishment from our vantage point. We're kind of starting to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We've got 1 married, 2 engaged, and like, hey, we got some good kids here. We're looking around at the world. We're like, a lot of people, you kind of rolling the dice. 5 kids, 5 great kids, grounded, making good decisions with good friends and good skill sets and successful businesses. And like, man, we so it worked. Like the experiment worked. So who was I, what I set out to do? I kind of bounced around a little bit on you, but that was my big why, and I would encourage, especially young men, start to make your why. Yeah, there's things that you want to do in life, but start to do them through the lens of the right wife, kids, family, legacy, because you'll be 50 before you know it. And 50 and alone sucks. I don't care who you are. But 50 with weddings on the calendar and the friends of your friends, families that have kind of grown up and the kids done life together and the challenge of that and the reward. I'm looking forward to this next season. Like, are you kidding me? Having a bunch of grandkids? Like, I'm not afraid of that. I'm embracing that season. I'm not going to do this next season alone. I'm going to be surrounded with people that love me, that I love. It's going to be awesome. But, if you just kind of set out as a young guy and you wait till you're 30 or 40 to start thinking that way, you're going to be 60 with kids. No, you don't want to do life that way, man. So find the right girl. That's my advice, man, and start young.
All right, done deal. And, I don't know if your viewers can see up in the corner here at Celestina Kuntz, that is my beautiful girlfriend whom,
awesome.
I take advantage of her Zoom account every now and then.
So you're on her Zoom. That's why we got her name on the screen for those watching on YouTube.
Yeah. Shout out to my awesome girlfriend. Woo!
Yeah, exactly.
Go sell.
Yeah, guys need a good girl way more at a young age, especially than girls need a good guy. Just it shapes us and sharpens us in such a significant way. Females mature kind of almost naturally. Dudes, we need a good female if we're going to get out of that.
I've become so much of a better person since I've been with her. We actually just had our 3-year anniversary a couple weeks ago, and looking back on who I was before I met her, I'm like, go away. I don't need that.
I'll just encourage you, man. And this is generic advice. I don't know. You've never met her, but ring in a date, dude. Make it happen, man. I'm telling you, you will not regret marrying the right girl young. You will not. Our culture tells us like, explore, have fun. You're only young once. Man, I know a lot of guys that did that. They waited till they were, basically too late. I hate to say it, but now they're starting to think about kids in their mid 40s and like, oh man, it's just, I'm going to get to play with my grandkids. I'm going to get to play basketball with my grandkids. I mean, that's awesome. If I'd waited till I was 40, that would not be the case. No 80-year-olds out there bouncing around with their 6-year-old, grandkids playing basketball. I mean, let's be honest, right? So that trajectory matters, thinking it through, thinking forward in time.
Right. And you still seem pretty spry over there.
Oh, dude, I'm good, but I'm doing the math. I'm going to have grandkids here, and I'm glad I'm going to have them when I'm still in my 50s. If I was having grandkids in my 80s, that's a different story, man. It just is. So, yeah, I mean, you don't think that way a lot when you're younger, but that's some free advice. Take it or leave it. But I've just seen a lot of guys, and there's a lot of guys in my age group that took a very different trajectory, and their life is kind of slowly getting sadder. And my life is kind of slowly getting better, and it's a pattern I've detected, and it's not just me that makes that observation.
Oh, yeah, no. And I realize as much as I think I know, I'm still so dumb. So any advice,
well,
I'll take it.
Being open to wisdom from mentors, people a little older than you that kind of have a different perspective. And that's smart and good job. Well done. But what are the questions you got for me? What are the topics you want to kick around? I hope I'm serving you well, and hope the listeners are benefiting in some way as well as we go, of course.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really did want to get into is, with this, recession or this economic downturn that we're in, are there any categories of Amazon products that you think will do better than others? Not necessarily recession proof, but mitigated risk.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great question. And well, let's back off. I don't know that is a obvious question, a well thought out question. But once you've been in this a little while, a very unnecessary question. And I'll explain it this way. The replens model, as you dive into it, it doesn't matter what the actual product is or what category it's even in. What matters is the history of that product. And we can say with confidence, okay, 2 years ago it was doing this, a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, last few weeks, this is what it looks like. Odds are, at least for the next several weeks, if not the next several months, this product is very likely to be profitable for me, so I'm going to start selling it. The category, the type of product, doesn't matter. You can bounce all over the place. I look at our catalog. If we actually set up a retail store and sold the items that are on our replens buy list, I mean, it would just be crazy. There's like 5 snack foods and then a whole bunch of different hardware items. And it's the most general, random, useless collection of products you can possibly imagine. We got one plumbing item, then we sell a bunch of that, but nothing else in the plumbing department. It's completely random and makes no sense as a collection. And predicting the future is just not necessary. So for me to sit here and say, oh yeah, you want to get in on hardware, screwdrivers and tools, and no, you don't even have to. It's not necessary to guess. I guess a cleaner way to say what I'm trying to say is you don't have to predict the future with this model. It's completely unnecessary. Now I could take a shot at it. My guess would be as good as anybody else's, but it's completely unnecessary data to make great decisions about your inventory selection. Because again, you're looking at recent history. How has this particular listing done on Amazon? How profitable would it be for me to join the other sellers who are already selling this item? And at least for the next several weeks, maybe next several months, or even a couple of years, this is a profitable product for me to sell. At the moment it stops being profitable for me, I don't have $3,000 of it sitting in my garage. I've got 5 or 6 units, right? And if I have to liquidate those 5 or 6 units, I do so. If I have to bring them back and sell them on eBay for some reason, I do it. But I haven't committed to a certain category. I'm committing to individual listings on Amazon. Does that make sense to steer you kind of in a different direction on that topic?
Yeah, no, that actually makes a lot of sense because again, I'm looking at all these different resources and everyone has different opinions, but the one that you just put forth makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if we were guys sitting here on $50 million in cash, and like, what sector do we want to get into? Are we talking communications or pork bellies? That's into now we got to. Where's the future heading? We don't have to think that way as a small business owner. We're just saying, hey, I've got a few $1,000 here. What inventory should I buy? Buy the stuff that's selling well at a profit right now, and don't commit too deep to any of it. That's the Amazon opportunity in a nutshell. It's really shrunk that risk factor down to so low that questions like that, typically really good business questions like the one you just asked, become completely unnecessary to even ask.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. And so freeing. In that kind of same vein, so, say I'm obviously going to get into replens after this conversation. It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
However, while I'm starting to scale all of this, right? Yeah. What are some of the main pitfalls of scaling that you've seen? What are the mistakes to avoid when you're trying to really get something going?
Yes. The biggest mistakes you'll see people make are overcommitting, getting too excited. They find something and it sells well. They sell 30 in a week. And then the next week they sell 50. And so they go out and they find the manufacturer distributor and they put in an order for 3,000 units of this thing. You've just gone an inch deep and a mile wide on one product. And man, it may pay off big or it may not, but you've drifted away from this inch deep, mile wide diversify your risk, place a whole bunch of small bets. And here's the rationale behind what I'm saying. If, let's say, you're picking stocks, and most people win about as much as they lose when they're picking individual stocks. But let's say somehow we handed you a magical gift of knowing that the stocks you're going to go pick are going to be winners 85 to 90% of the time. Then you're really smart to go out and pick a whole bunch of stocks. The average is you're going to lose about 55% of the time, right? If you just go pick random stocks, you're going to lose over half the time. But let's see, if we flip the switch and suddenly you're winning 85 to 90% of the time, you're super smart to just go ahead and spread it out pretty thin. You don't want to go all in on one, because that could be the one that you end up losing big on. You're much smarter to spread your risk. That's what replens is. It's 85 to 90% chance of winning on each individual based on the history of that product, the skill set we're giving you. You've got a very high odds of making money or breaking even as your worst case, or the worst case is you lose a little bit because you've only gone in very shallow. So no matter how attractive it looks, stay shallow, don't overcommit. That's the big mistake you could make as you start to, it's a lot easier to sell one or two things than it is to sell 100 different things and buy them and replace them as they go out of stock. Don't fall for the temptation too soon of going too deep on just a handful. Stay thin, stay flexible. And another thing that mistake that people make, this is putting on a completely different hat, but they hire the wrong people first. A lot of times they'll hire the convenience hires. I don't like putting tape on a box, so that's my first hire. No, I don't like that. Now, you could make an argument. You want to do the things that free up your time the most so you can do some more research. And like Jimmy Smith would make that argument. And I tend to agree. Like, that's not a bad call. Free up your time. If time is a valuable resource and you got very little of it, whatever frees up your time the most can be a great first hire. But I would argue, and it's almost a coin toss, but I think it's like a 51% chance of getting it right. If you hire, the first person you hire is someone who finds profitable inventory for you. A VA who understands the system, who gets it, who knows where you're trying to get, you communicate well. It's like you've just duplicated yourself. And while you're sleeping, your duplicated self is working hard, $4 an hour, doing exactly what you would be doing, finding new inventory.
Okay, I love that you brought that up.
First hire. So it's a mistake to hire somebody just out of convenience.
Okay. And so at what point during the scaling process, you said get to 20,000 in sales a month before you start to go wholesale. And then when does it make sense to start hiring people on, start going for that automation, taking steps towards it? Is it subjective, or is there, a general ground rule?
I can tell you when it's too early is if you don't understand how to find a replen yourself or how to recognize a good one when it smacks you in the face. That's too early. But at the point that you've got that down, you could make the strong case that, we've got plenty of people. We've had about 300 plus clients come through our proven replens VA program. The ones who have struggled have been the ones that don't quite understand the system yet. They've jumped in too soon and they expect the VA to carry all the weight. And the VA is waiting for instructions and their communication issues, and they'll send them 30 ASINs. And so the person will just buy all 30, assuming, well, the VA told me those are good. Well, there's a mistake here, problem there, little challenge with this one. And suddenly they find themselves, because they don't understand the system, a VA, they're not moving, they're not pulling the cart in the same direction. Let's put it that way. You want someone that you understand, here's the cart I've built, here's the direction we're going. And if they start to veer off the path, you can course correct them a little bit, but they're still working. You can't assume that they get it as much as you do. They understand that here's the categories, here's the brands, here's where I'm excited, here's the profit margin I'm looking for. No, this ASIN doesn't work because XYZ. The packaging's different on this one. Here's a little course correction, right? You need to be able to understand the basics. But once you understand the basics, as evidenced by, I would say, something as simple as you can sit down in a couple hours and find couple, 3, maybe 5 profitable replens.
Okay.
Right? maybe a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You find one an hour kind of thing. You're getting into a groove of, I know how this works. Now you're ready to add someone on, assuming you've got the capital to justify it, which isn't a lot. $4 an hour in the Philippines, for a virtual assistant.
It's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Which is the equivalent of about $30 an hour as spending power in their local economy. So it's a great job where the average hourly wage is $1 per hour. You're really helping, making a huge difference for that, not just that person, but their family.
And good for them.
Speak English.
My goodness.
Have great technology available at their fingertips. They've been through, if you go to Proven Replens VA, they've been through the replens training. Like, they're ready to rock, and they work just for you, which is huge. Yeah.
Okay. And now would that also be a good time to start using like a prep and ship center? Or what are your thoughts on those, in terms of integrating that into the process of scaling?
Yeah, great. Really good question. A prep center is a necessity day one if you live outside the United States and you want to do this model. They start there, right? Because they don't want to ship products from the US to wherever they live outside the US and then prep it and ship it all back. There's no way that could be profitable. So if you live outside the United States, you're getting a prep center right off the bat. You're shopping online, having it delivered to a partner who preps it, sends it into Amazon for you, and you just wait to get paid if you live outside the US. But if you live in the US, we strongly encourage you get used to the process just a little bit, send in several shipments, but then start seeing, is there a neighbor, someone else could come to your house, or someone that lives near you maybe that could receive the shipments or come pick them up at your house. After you've got the basics down, you can just use neighbors to do this stuff. There's always a single mom looking for part-time work, right? Or you can go to prepcenternetwork.com and find a prep center that you can have the stuff delivered to. Shop online. Instead of coming to your house, it's delivered to them. That's the OA strategies, online arbitrage strategies. Now, with your RA, it's a little less convenient. Like, you're going to local stores and you're filling your car, you're bringing it home, and now you're shipping it to a prep center that's 3 states away. Doesn't make as much sense there. But for online, you can scale into using a prep center pretty quickly if you're doing your shopping and sourcing using OA strategies that we teach. But there's a cost to not doing the RA. There's such low-hanging fruit all around you. If you've got retail stores, man, there's stuff just sitting there ripe for the picking. So in a perfect world, I think and this is kind of what we've tapped into in my business, is we're doing a lot of RA. We've got shoppers. We're doing a lot of OA. Got shoppers there too. We're getting into wholesale. We're getting into Walmart. Over time, you just kind of tack it all on instead of saying, hey, this is the way. If someone says, should I do this or that, I'm like, no, do them all. Why not?
Okay.
It's profitable. Tack them on over time. But specifically a prep center, it's never too early to do it. But again, you want to understand the process. You want to understand the cost and the time and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. So when you're paying someone else $2 a unit to do it, you're like, yeah, that's really worth it. That was a good investment.
Right.
And it starts to limit the products you can sell. Because if you're prepping it yourself, maybe $5 a unit profit's fine. But if someone else is prepping it and there's more fees involved, so the cost of automating is, the margin shrinks. The more people you bring in, the more tools and resources, your margin starts to shrink. So, you got to find slightly more profitable products to justify staying in business. But the good news is, as you get better at this, finding those profitable products gets easier.
Right. Now, on that same vein, can you get into some of the tools and the software that's recommended for finding some of these replens, or is that something that you got to go into the course for?
Nope. We share 100%. There's no question that I won't dive into.
All right, let's hear it then. All right.
The purpose of the course is screenshots and detailed, and showing you examples, and here's the data points, and you can't replicate that in a podcast. It's very, very methodical. There's about 12 hours of training, just very methodical at your own pace. You kind of need to go through to get it. But what tools? Go back and listen to podcast episode 369. I went into Keepa, Keepa.
Right.
Invaluable tool. Got to have it. Hands down, about $20 a month. And it does things that no other tool does. I won't dive into what it does that's different and why and how they've accomplished this. I cover that in podcast episode 369. But that is a power tool that you must have. And it kind of fuels the whole replens model. That tool was originally created so people could spot deals on Amazon. Like, hey, if the price of my favorite skateboard ever dips below $89, let me know because I'm going to snag it. And that tool that's what it does. But we started using it as sellers. And now by far the vast majority of the users are people, I think, in our community pursuing the replens model because it shows a price history and a rank history of which is what's important to us. Amazon doesn't share that through their own data API, which is what every other software tool out there uses, is Amazon's data. Keepa tracks on their own with their own bank of servers the rank of every product. So as the product rises and falls in the ranking system, we know a lot about the true story of that product. Are people really buying that 6-pack of green beans for $80? Really? People are paying that? Like, you look at Keepa, like, no, that's just a silly listing sitting there. No one's actually spending that amount of money on that listing. So I'm not excited about
it's a lot.
6-pack of green beans for $80. Like, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to sell on that listing. Well, no, nobody ever buys it. But you look, and the way you determine that is by looking at Keepa. Amazon doesn't tell you the volume of sales for any given listing. They don't tell you. They tell you the rank, but the rank history is what tells you the story. And learning to read that rank history is the key. So that's one tool, Keepa. After that, there's 10 other tools that come in second place, and you're not going to need them all at once over time as you grow. Like your next one might be Rev Seller, which shows you right on the screen. You type in, hey, I can go buy this product for $8. And it says your expected profit after all expenses would be $5.75 because it just factors all that in instantly, shipping, prep, and all. Just boom.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it tells you right on screen. Proven AmazonCourse.com/Rev Seller. The guy that invented that tool is actually from our community. We've helped a lot of people use that tool. It's just a plugin that sits right on Chrome and it shows you a lot of data right on the screen, kind of like Keepa does. You got Rev Seller right there on the screen when you're looking at Amazon. You got Keepa right on the screen. That's what I look at when I'm working. The tool to help you manage your inventory, Inventory Lab, is fantastic. It's what a lot of folks use in our community. Does a lot of great things for you. Very replen seller friendly. The tool that a lot of people use, including us, to help you know when it's time to reorder different replens. Like, hey, you sold 3 of those last week. You should probably go get 8 of those, to be in good shape for the next month. The replen dashboard does that. That's a tool, actually, Jimmy Smith on our team, the creator of the replens course. He's created a company and a business around replen dashboard as the tool there.
Okay.
But those 4, I don't want to go a whole lot deeper. There's a lot of other little tools and things that you can use over time. People have their preferences, but if you get just Keepa, I'll put it to you this way. We have people running 7-figure businesses, a couple, spouse, no outside help, doing all the work themselves. They've got the free Amazon seller app and they've got Keepa and they've learned the replens system and committed to it. 7-figure business, multiple 7-figure business with just that. No Inventory Lab, no Rev Seller, no nothing else. And I don't know how they do it, man. They're in hustle mode. But at the point where you're putting some money in the bank, it's always time to say, can I scale? Can I automate? What tools could I bring in to make this process easier to where I could start to step away? Like, I'll give you an example. One of the goals I have when we hire a new shopper is I want to train them in 2 minutes. I want to have a process that's so simple that you go from new hire to able to shop on our team because of how simplified we've made the whole process. You don't have to sit down for an 8-hour training to go shop. It's a shopping list. Go to this store, go to this aisle, buy this product. How much time does it take to train somebody? If you've broken it down that simple, they're not reading charts and graphs. They're going on a shopping trip. That's it. So we've broken it down that simple, right? So I want all of our processes to be as simple as possible, and tools allow you to do that.
Yeah, I can see what you mean when you said you're surrounding yourself with really smart people, because all that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm a spreadsheet nerd, so I've done some things in our business that have helped us out around here, and I've helped shape out Replen dashboard with some suggestions and things too that make it a pretty useful tool. And I've been selling 20 years, man. I've got some decent instincts at this point. I can contribute to those sorts.
I would hope so.
Yeah, for sure, man. But it's all I've known as it's the only income my family's had for 20 years now. Because we made the decision, if it wasn't clear earlier, my wife wanted to stay home, homeschool, and so I was the breadwinner, and I've loved every minute of it. And it's all been E-commerce. That's it.
Yeah. Now I got to ask, and here's a little softball for you. How did the Proven Conference go, man? I know that just happened.
Yeah, were you not there?
That was a big deal.
It was phenomenal. We gathered in Louisville, Kentucky. This was the middle of August 2022. The videos are available now. Theprovenconference.com has details on our next events and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a beautiful event. We had, I think, just under 600 people registered, just over 500 or so showed. Were able to make it. People were sick, cancel, whatever, watch the live stream from home. But it was a tremendous event. Yeah, we had over 40 sessions that we captured on video, and because we had all kind of breakout sessions and a big main event in the big room each morning, and then we broke off into different rooms and different topics. And it was just tremendous. This community is special. It really is like family for a lot of us who've been around a while. Very warm and welcoming to the new people. Actually, a podcast episode I recorded today just before this one was a guy who attended for the first time and was talking about how life-changing it was and the relationships he built. So you definitely need to try to make one of these. We've done it 10 times now, which crazily enough, I'm unaware of any other e-commerce organization out there that's had 10 annual events at this point. Most people kind of pop up, have 2 or 3, and then they're gone. Something happens, they break down, and we've done it. We've had 10 events now.
With the strength of the community, like the silent sales community, that's
yeah.
It seems like it should be an ongoing tradition here. Now,
God willing, it will be.
Yeah, right. Where do you see like the most value in these conferences? Is it coming from the speakers, or is it like establishing connections with the other people there?
100%. And I say that as the guy that sets up the speakers and puts people on stage and helps shape the topics. The value is in the connections and in the community. By design now, originally, I used to have my feelings hurt a little bit when all the surveys would come back, the first 2 or 3 events we did, and like, nobody's talking about how great the content is. I was just saying the content was good. And yeah, I learned some new things, and I'm glad I came for the content was worth it and all that. But the relationships, the connections, the community, over and over and over again, that was emphasized. So now we've, by design, built plenty of free time into the events and time that you can just, and we actually train at my opening session. I train. Here's the things to say. Here's the questions to ask. Here's how you start a conversation with your fellow business building warriors. I gave away a magic 2-word phrase this year that I encouraged everybody to use multiple times throughout the day. Do you want to take a stab at what it is? Any guesses?
Let's see. A magical 2-word phrase to use. Take action.
Yeah, I mean, that's a helpful thing to walk
going.
Up. That's a helpful thing to walk up and say, high five. It's like, yeah, brother, right? No, but this was like a very practical way to like start to engage into a conversation that moves not only their business forward, but yours as well. And that magic phrase is, how's business?
How's business? Okay.
Because it's especially when you're around a bunch of people who own businesses and are trying to build businesses. We never get to really talk openly to anybody. Very few people actually come up to us and genuinely interested in, how's the business going? Like, what's working well? What isn't working well? How could I possibly help? So take advantage of being in this room. Like, hey, how's business, man? Fill me in. Where are you hurting? Where are you struggling? What's working well? What could you teach me to improve my business? And the conversation just goes from there. It's a great opening question when you're around business owners, because, we can wear our spouse out. We can wear our friends out. Like they don't care. They don't even think the same. We're weird as business owners. But you get us all together, man. That's a great question. So just a little tip for you if you ever attend.
Yeah, and what were people generally saying when you asked how is business? Were they like, oh, it's great. I'm doing this, that, and the other. Were there any underlying universal themes here?
Oh, you will always hear. Here's the things that are working well. Here's what I'm excited about. Here's the things that have momentum. And here's the challenges, the struggles, the things I'm trying to figure out right now. And there's value in both of those conversations. There always will, but you'll never be at the point where you're like, yeah, pretty much running on all cylinders. I don't think I've got anything to learn, really. I mean, everything's great. I can't think of a single challenge in my business. Never. Because just like with life, just like you could analyze your relationship with your girlfriend. You could analyze your health. You could analyze your financial picture right now. Like you're never at a point where you can just kind of let those things go and coast. Because what you've basically just done is turned them into disaster at some point in the near future. Anything you allow just to just coast is going to go downhill. It's an uphill battle in all the important areas of life. So everybody's got a battle they're fighting at any stage. We think of a guy like, oh, well, Jeff Bezos, more money than anybody in the world. Like, no, you hear the guy talk and he's not like just floating through life, skipping from cloud to cloud. He's got things that weigh him down. Same thing like Elon Musk. He's got things that just eat away at him, concerns and relationship issues. And do I have the relationship with my kid that I'd like to have? Do I have the relationship with my spouse? Am I as healthy as I should be to benefit myself and others in life? Like we've all got these things that we could do a little better on, get a little tip, a little strategy, a little insight. Business is no different, right? So the themes are typically, now we have a lot of people building incredible businesses and enjoying the benefits of them for sure. But they've all got challenges and things that they could learn. So it's one of the tricks is just staying humble enough to allow people to speak into your life and ask questions. That's part of the leadership journey I've been on. I used to think about 3 or 4 years into this, I thought, okay, I can no longer be the guy asking questions. I'm the guy that's supposed to know everything because people are gathering to learn from me. You get over that real fast and you realize I'm learning so much more than anybody. I'm just going to stay humble, stay curious, ask stupid questions. Even as a guy who's been doing it 20 years ago, I want to ask at least a handful of stupid questions every week. Where people are like, really? You've been doing this 20 years and you're asking that? I mean, I've been in it 2 months and I knew the answer. Like, that's great. That means I'm in the right room. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room ever. You're in the wrong room if you're the smartest guy in the room. You want to be somewhere where you can learn.
Yeah, and that does seem to be like a pretty common theme throughout this whole community is just the absence of ego and staying humble and kind of like approaching things with that it's sort of empty cup mentality. Because what's that Buddhist mantra? You can't pour any more water in an already full cup, right? Oh, so what's the use?
I love
what's the use of being egotistical? What's the use of all that? No, you gotta just keep on learning. Being a student is essentially a lifelong thing. It doesn't end when you graduate college.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. Don't let college get in the way of your education, man. That's a Mark Twain.
Yeah, right. And so another question I have for you is, do you have any like hilariously bad stories or like pitfalls or obstacles that you've encountered in your own business history?
Yeah,
anything that really stands out?
So yes, so many from a sheer true impact. It really comes down to picking the right people and picking the wrong people. No one's perfect. Everyone's going to make a mistake. Everyone's going to turn out not to be who you thought they were, at least temporarily from time to time. That's the human condition. But learning to be very intentional about relationships, really. And you can't do that with 100 people. I learned from Dave Ramsey's organization that, for example, nobody has more than, it was either 3 or 5 people that report to them. That's as many people as you can genuinely have really accountable relationships with. So you build a structure. And some of the bigger mistakes I've made were trying to maintain relationships with too many close relationships, too many. Like our coaches, we have 60 coaches. I bet people would struggle to kind of envision what Jim's relationship, my relationship is with those 60 people. What's it look like? Well, there's a handful of them I know pretty well. Most of them, I kind of only know through loosely. We've talked 5 or 6 times for an hour or 2, maybe, but it's not like we're intimately involved in each other's lives. It's impossible to maintain intimate, close relationships with a large number of people. So you've got to figure out who those core people, really pour yourself into them and enable them and allow them to pour themselves into so that 60 people are broken up. For example, our structure is, I've got my coaching director and his guy that we've brought in, Matt, that kind of, they shore up the whole coaching team. And then we've got a team of coaching directors that report to them, and just under them, the coaching team directors, you should say, and each of them have a group of coaches. so the relationships kind of flow, not because, oh, Jim's too big and important and special to no, it's like the limits of time. Who do you pick up the phone and call when you really need something? Well, you're free to call me if you'd like, but you know your director way better than you know me. And that's actually, there's a biblical model there that was used when I think it was Moses he was judging all the cases with all these people. And he's huge, and he's the wisest guy, so we got to take all of our cases to him. Like, no, you need to appoint judges who oversee a group of judges who oversee any territories, and right, break it down, that whole infrastructure. So the biggest mistakes I've made have been infrastructural personnel, putting the wrong people at the wrong place at the wrong time, turning them loose on too many things too fast. That it's the people side of it where all my biggest mistakes have been made. But you live and learn, and that's part of the journey.
Yeah, I hear that, man. That's I obviously haven't even gotten to that level yet, and most of my problems have been with product wise. But my goal now is to if you'll have me come back on this podcast as a success story after all this has happened, and be like, listen, man, all the advice you gave me, a year and a half ago, now I'm going gangbusters with it. Yeah. That's
but I'm redefining. Not to get too fluffy about the concept, success does mean in business does mean making significant amount of money. That means you're doing it right. You're doing it well. You're serving a lot of people really well. You've got the proof. These little thank you notes we call these little green pieces of paper called money. Like, I served a bunch of people well. Here's the proof. But trajectory is very much an indicator of future results. So I see someone who's curious, they're driven, they're looking at the right materials, they're taking them seriously, they've got a point out there in time. You are already a success story compared to, for example, people who've got a negative trajectory, right? Like, their goal in life,
I'll take that.
is to get drunk as many times a week with their single buddies and game till 4 a.m. until life makes them stop because they've completely run out of resources. Like, that's their goal. Like, that's a different trajectory. Like, I can paint your future picture, man. That's a sad destination. You've got a positive destination. You've got a point and future goal. You've got good girlfriend. You're heading in the right direction. Exactly, man. You're doing life the right way. So that is already a success story. Just maintain that. Life's going to throw curveballs at you. You know what it's like to shatter a leg and to build back and to come back. And kudos on your attitude, by the way, because a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, this is my sad story. This is my excuse basically for not doing much with my life, is this happened to me. And we spend an hour on how bad it was and the agony and the pain and the surgeries. You're not there. It didn't make you bitter. A lot of people do get bitter when something like that happens to them. So that, I know the kind of heart that's required inside of someone to come through something like that. Congratulations, man. So you're a success already.
Thanks.
It's just, you don't have the money in the bank as much to show it, but you're young, that your trajectory is good. You're listening to mentors. You're receiving advice from people older and more experienced than you. You're open to that, right? You don't see me as irrelevant and, he's over the other side of 40, man. What could he teach me? It takes a degree of humility to receive that. I remember being there. I remember what it felt like.
Hey, you got to start somewhere. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But
if it's a step in the right direction, you're already a success as long as you maintain course.
Yep. I'm in this for the long haul. This is my dream, and I can't do anything but go for it. And the times like this, sessions like this, where I get to sit down and pick the brains of the master, and have my finger on the pulse of this awesome Facebook group that you guys have created, and all the other resources. There's a wealth of resources out there. There's so much going on, related to Amazon FBA. Yeah. And it's really just jaw dropping when you look at all of it. It's so awesome. And
don't be overwhelmed by it. Don't think you're ever going to know all of it. I certainly don't. There's plenty of content in the Proven Amazon course that I've never consumed or applied, but it applies to somebody, and it's benefited somebody. It's kind of like the president of a college hasn't taken all the courses and met all of the professors. It's kind of drifted more into that direction. But if it's a good college, every professor is worth their weight, and every course being taught is something that's good for the students who go through that. That's And I don't think of it as a college by any means, but that's kind of the model of, I'm more overseeing a team at this point, and I still loving it and is very involved in it. But this whole thing has definitely outgrown any of us on the leadership team. And it's what you need. We believe in just-in-time learning. Have you heard me talk about that before? It may be a good place to start to wrap up, but just-in-time versus just-in-case learning. Have you heard that concept before?
No, if you could explain that to me really quick.
Yeah, you might appreciate this. Our education system right now is set up a lot on, never mind the fact that it doesn't teach us to think. It teaches us more, here's the facts you need to know so you can take the test. And, I'm the teacher, learn these things and get a good grade based on your knowledge of these things. That's so broken. But it's based on a just in case model. I'm going to teach you a bunch of stuff just in case someday you have to dissect a hypotenuse triangle. You're going to have the knowledge to do it just in case.
Yeah, I just did that yesterday. Right? Yeah.
Instead of a just in time model. Like here you are right now, Sam, in this certain circumstance, and you're trying to get from point A to point B, which is about a mile away. And so we're going to give you the information to get there. And then when you get to point B, now you're going to be ready, just in time information plugged in. And that's what the Proven Amazon course is. Okay, you're at this stage now. Here's your options. Here's the content you should consider. It's not go through the whole entire thing and then now you're ready to sell on Amazon. No, it's day one. You're going to do some things. That's going to open up some doors. You're going to pick a door. Now you're ready for the next just-in-time information, right? It's not a learn it all because you never will. The game's changing so fast. You'll never know it all. You'll never learn it all. That's the beauty and the challenge. And for some people, they find that overwhelming. No, don't be overwhelmed by the amount of information. Pick a course, stick to it, knowing that just when you need it, the information will be there just in time.
All right. And I appreciate all of this so much, man. And I know you wanted to wrap this up. And I just wanted to kind of leave off with a quote that I think could help some people. I know it's helped me a lot. And especially through all that I've been with and all the fear that I've had, trying to get back into this and trying to dig deep. But there's a saying that goes, fear is the only thing that gets smaller as you run towards it. And I'm like, oh, I like that.
Oh, dude, that's really good. I've heard a lot of quotes about fear, but wow, that is so good. What's that from? Is that a movie or a book or?
That's a fantastic question. I read it somewhere. I have no idea where. It's just one of those things that like you're kind of just scrolling through and then it just sticks with you. And I go, ooh, I like that. And so that just kind of gives you that.
There's a lot of depth.
Gusto.
And there's a lot of depth and truth in that for sure, man. Especially if you're running in equipped and confident. I know there's risk there, but running, so the opposite of that's also true. Fear gets bigger the more you run from it.
Right. There you go.
Right? I mean, it really holds. I mean, that's a pretty solid nugget. I love it, dude. That's fantastic.
Hey, all right, bringing some value here. I'm
gonna have to think. I'm gonna have to think that one over. But just in the few moments I've had exposure to it, I really like that, dude. Seriously,
I know it has this way of resonating with you. It's so true. Yeah. And then, but before I leave you off here, just want to give a quick shout out. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. I made it. Hey, Julia. Good luck with your wedding. She's getting married in about a month and a half or so.
Go, mom.
Nice. My little sister is getting married.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, dude, that's great. Yeah, cool shout out at the end. Having them watch that segment. Well, Absolutely. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you today, Sam. Good getting to know you a little bit. I'm excited for your future, and I love your heart, buddy. You've been through a lot. You've overcome a lot, but the game's just beginning too, man, and you got a bright future ahead. So it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me here.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, buddy. Well, I'm going to talk to the listeners and just wrap this one up here. But thank you for hanging out with Sam and I. You gave us a very valuable gift today, some of your time, and I treasure that. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you. As is Sam. You can see he just gave you a little bow.
All right.
Listening. Appreciate it too. That's no joke. I mean, you could have spent a lot of things with this last bit of time that you gave us, and you invested it here. So my prayer for you, my hope for you is that this is a tremendous return on investment as we've hopefully encouraged you and equipped you to do some cool, big things, move in the right direction, set that trajectory and move towards that point where you could and should be. So until next time, God bless all the business building warriors. We'll have another great episode for you again real soon.